I feel like you understand the value of collaborating, and that's something I wanted to touch on just now, because you've collaborated with all these big people. So like, what advice can you give, and like, what's your mentality on it?
Well, I think that success in social media, and in particular YouTube, is really, I always say it comes down to 3 C's, right? It's this consistency, it's content, and it's collaboration. Those, if you can really own those 3 C's, and content always has to be great, whether it's tutorials or me running around, wrangling the craziest animals on the planet, or whatever it is. Content has to be great. Consistency is important. If you're going to put out 1 video a week, you need to put out 1 video a week. If you're going to put out 1 video a day, and I've been one thing in my 10 years of YouTubing, and that's consistent. I put out 8 years of every Wednesday, never missing a Wednesday, and now I'm 618 days into a vlog, and so consistency is important. But then the collaboration is really important, because it introduces your content to a new audience. But what you have to remember about collaboration, like you had mentioned, I've been very fortunate to be able to provide content through my wildlife to some of the biggest YouTubers on the platform, right? And Instagrammers as well, Amanda Cerny and the likes. And you have to bring something to the table, right? So you don't have to, I don't look at like the numbers. I don't go like, oh, I'm only going to collaborate with people plus 1 million or plus 5 million. I look at it as what can we do together? And sometimes some of the smaller collabs I've done with sub 100,000 subs, sometimes sub 20,000 subs, have been some of the best, collaborations I've done. But when you do go to the bigger channels, the 1 million plus, the 5 million plus, the 10 million plus channels, you have to remember they're looking for content, right? Like every day they wake up and they say, what story can I tell my audience today? What's going to go viral? What's going to, please my audience? And so as a smaller YouTuber, which in most cases, most of my collabs, I'm the smaller YouTuber, I have to know that I'm bringing something to the table. And what I'm bringing is great content. I'm going to bring out a big snake. I'm going to bring out an alligator. I'm going to get David Dobrik some grizzly bear cubs, whatever the case is. And then once that happens, their audience hopefully is introduced to your world. It's a little bit tricky, right? Because, sometimes you have a very finite amount of time in their video to get people to say, I want to go attach myself to that guy or that channel. So it doesn't always work. And then there's also like the value of like crossover, right? So not every collaboration you're going to do has the right crossover, Obviously, I've done some stuff with Java Juice Roy and EvanTube. And those crossovers maybe didn't work as well because their audience was so different than someone that would probably want to watch my content. But collaboration is such a huge part of it. But and we talked briefly about this. It's not only about what you get from it. It's also about the relationship. I go back to the EvanTube and the Java Juice Roy. I may not have gained a lot of subs and followers from those collabs, but I gained relationships and those things. So now I know Roy well. I know EvanTube's dad, Jared, well, and you never know what that's going to do in the future. As a matter of fact, we're about to launch a product line that has nothing to do with animals, in both Java Juice Roy and EvanTube are going to be huge parts of hopefully marketing this product. And if I wouldn't have collaborated with them, I may never have had the opportunity.
Yeah, I think that you touched on so many valuable key points that I always try to mention that I've found myself too, because this is a new venture, this is a new podcast, and I've found that it doesn't matter. I've collaborated with people like a year ago, and I thought, yes, this is going to be like such a good video, but what ended up happening was what was way more valuable than that couple thousand views we got was I ended up having a relationship with this person, and then in the future we both develop new branches of business and content, and we end up having a relationship where I can call on them and say, hey, you're doing that cool new thing now, I'm doing this, we can help each other in different ways. So
well, relationships are all everything. I as a matter of fact, I'm not a big believer necessarily in New Year's resolutions, but on the first of this year, I proclaimed that this year was about relationships for me. Like I a good friend of mine, very, very successful business person, once told me, I'm not in the business of selling what I sell. I'm in the business of creating relationships, and I think that's so important. And as YouTubers and social media, influencers, it's so important to have those relationships, because you don't know what's coming down the pike, and you don't know when someone says, man, I need a Python for a music video.
Yeah.
And man, I know the guy, and
Exactly.
now you're pulled in, and next thing you know, you're hanging with Snoop Dogg or something,
Exactly.
and so I think that if you're looking at it really
Is
narrowly.
that a true story that you just referenced?
Yeah, that was not a true story. Actually,
Okay.
some friends of mine are good friends with Snoop, but it wasn't my
Okay, I
story.
just wanted to make sure it wasn't hypothetical.
I would love that to happen, but we've had crazy stuff similar to that, but I think that you never want to be really narrow-minded with your thinking. If everything you do is only like, what am I going to gain from this, then you're probably not going to be that successful. You know what I mean? You just need to enjoy the ride. If it's something you really enjoy and can share your passion with stuff, it'll all work out. And not everything relates to numbers and dollars and cents.